A professional hitman sits hidden inside an abandoned warehouse, waiting for the perfect moment to take out his target. He stays planted in a chair near the window, watching the target's house through his scope for hours at a time. He watches the house in complete silence, waiting for one clean shot. Even after 2 full days, the target never shows up. Running low on supplies, he finally steps out to grab groceries. After leaving the store, he calls his employer and explains the situation. The boss orders him to finish the job fast and collect his payment. The hitman calmly promises the job will be done soon. Before heading back, he parks across from the target's house and studies everyone outside, the guards, the staff, the movement patterns. He carefully memorizes their daily routine before returning to his hideout. Every movement around the property starts becoming part of his plan. Back inside, he repositions his rifle and keeps surveillance on the house. Later that night, he casually brushes his teeth and goes to sleep, but every 10 minutes, an alarm drags him awake so he can recheck the target's home through the window. Then suddenly, he hears noise outside. The target finally arrives home with a dancer, completely unaware of the danger watching from across the street. The man relaxes while the woman starts dancing in front of him. The hitman slowly raises the rifle and lines up the shot. The hitman waits for the target to sit down on the couch so he can take the shot cleanly, but the second he pulls the trigger, the dancer unexpectedly steps right in front of the target. The bullet slams into her instead. Everything falls apart in a single second. She collapses instantly and dies on the spot. The hitman tries to fire again, but the security team reacts fast and shuts the window before he can get another shot off. Just like that, the mission is blown. He immediately stuffs the rifle into a bag and starts wiping down the entire area. After removing every possible trace, he slips out of the warehouse and escapes on an electric scooter. Along the way, he tosses pieces of equipment into different spots to throw investigators off his trail. He keeps disappearing piece by piece as he moves through the city. A few blocks later, he abandons the scooter and continues on foot. While walking near the river, he throws his helmet into the water. After that, he heads into the restroom of a grocery store. Inside, he cleans himself up carefully. He shaves off his beard, changes clothes, and wipes the entire bathroom down so no evidence is left behind. Then he calls for a ride and heads straight to the airport. Before entering the terminal, he quietly dumps the rifle into a trash can. But even at the airport, the pressure refuses to let go. While standing in line for a ticket, he notices a police dog staring directly at him. Panic immediately creeps in. He rushes back into the restroom and scrubs himself down again, trying to erase any trace that might still be left on him. He gets back in line and successfully boards using a fake identity under the name Felix Unger. But right before takeoff, his employer calls again, furious about the failed mission. The hitman snaps, hangs up, and crushes his phone. Something already feels wrong before the plane even leaves the ground. Once on board, he notices a strange man watching him. The moment the flight lands, he immediately buys another ticket, but again, he spots the exact same man nearby. Now paranoia starts taking over. Convinced he's being followed, he cancels the trip and pushes his flight to the next day instead. He checks into a hotel room, rigs the door with a trap, and spends the entire night awake with a knife in his hand. Every tiny sound inside the room keeps him on edge until sunrise, but nobody ever comes. The next day, he finally boards another flight and returns home to the Dominican Republic. The second he reaches his property, he notices footprints near the gate, along with a burned cigarette on the ground. That's when he knows someone was there. He instantly grabs a gun and rushes toward the house. Inside, he spots bloodstains and realizes someone forced their way in. He quickly calls his girlfriend, and the second the phone connects, panic takes over. He races straight to the hospital. There, he finds his girlfriend unconscious in a coma. Her brother is standing beside her bed, shaken and exhausted. He explains the two assassins, a man and a woman, broke into the house. Their real target was him, and now the failed mission has officially become personal. The brother explains that when the assassins couldn't find him, they attacked his girlfriend instead. She fought both of them with everything she had and barely made it out alive. Even after surviving the attack, the damage they left behind was brutal. By the time she finally escaped and found a place to hide, she spotted the two killers fleeing in a taxi with a green roof. After hearing the full story, the hitman decides to stay at the hospital all night and watch over her. A little later, she finally regains consciousness and tells him everything herself. Through pain and exhaustion, she explains that the two assassins tied her up and tortured her because they wanted information about him. No matter how much pain they put her through, she never gave them anything. Hearing that completely breaks something inside him. Watching the woman he loves lying there beaten and barely alive fills him with rage. In that moment, he silently decides that he's going to make them pay for what they did. That same night, he returns home and pulls out a hidden case full of weapons. The next morning, he starts driving through the city searching for the taxi with a green roof that her brother described. He spends the entire day scanning streets, intersections, and traffic looking for any sign of it. But by the end of the day, the taxi is still nowhere to be found. Once night falls, he changes tactics completely. He heads straight to the taxi company's office, takes the manager hostage, and forces his way into the company records. After logging into the computer system, he finally tracks down the driver who picked the assassins up from his house. The moment he gets the information, he takes the driver's file and leaves. The next day, he waits outside the station for the cab driver to show up for work. As soon as the driver arrives, the hitman quietly follows him. The driver has absolutely no idea who just climbed into his cab. Pretending to be a normal passenger, the hitman slides into the back seat while the driver casually starts moving through the city. Everything seems normal until the driver glances into the rearview mirror and suddenly notices the gun in his hand. Instant panic hits him. Thinking he's dealing with a regular robber, the driver quickly pulls out his wallet and offers over his cash. But money isn't what the hitman wants. Pointing the gun directly at him, he asks one question: where did you drop off the two passengers you picked up from that house? Now the driver realizes this this isn't a robbery at all. Desperate to stay alive, the driver carefully tries to remember every detail. Finally, he tells him the truth. He explains that he originally picked the two passengers up from a private airport and drove them to a house while waiting outside the entire time. When they came back, both of them were injured. The driver says he didn't ask questions because they looked dangerous and important. After that, he drove them back to the same private airport and got paid in full. Then he suddenly remembers one more thing. The male passenger was limping badly when they left the house. The driver explains that the injured man looked powerful, so he stayed quiet and minded his own business. After hearing everything, the hitman calmly tells him to drive somewhere isolated. The driver immediately starts begging. Fear completely takes over the second he realizes he may not survive this ride. He promises to answer anything else if the hitman just lets him go. But before he can keep talking, the hitman shuts him up and disappears from the area. After that, he creates another fake identity for himself. Using the new name, he books a flight to New Orleans. His only goal now is finding the two people responsible for nearly killing his girlfriend. Once he arrives in New Orleans, he rents a van and drives to a hidden storage unit. Inside, he pulls out weapons, supplies, and another fake ID. Afterward, he swaps the van's license plate to avoid being tracked. Every move he makes now feels cold, precise, and completely calculated. Next, he heads to a cleaning company and signs up as a janitor. After getting registered, the company hands him cleaning supplies and work equipment. Carrying the gear, he makes his way to the office building owned by his former employer. His plan is simple. Pretending to be part of the cleaning crew is the easiest way inside. But while standing outside the building, he learns that everyone entering needs an access pass first. So once again, he waits quietly for the perfect opportunity. A little while later, a delivery truck pulls up outside the building. The second the hitman sees it, an idea immediately clicks in his head. He grabs a large trash bin and starts dragging it toward the entrance, pretending it's way too heavy for him to handle alone. He turns himself into part of the background without anyone noticing. A delivery worker watches him struggle and assumes there's no way this guy can get through security by himself. Trying to help, the worker scans his own access pass at the gate and even helps operate the elevator. The moment they get upstairs, the hitman fully slips into the role of a janitor. After a few minutes, the delivery guy leaves the area completely. That's when the act finally drops. He walks straight into his former employer's office. Now the real reason he came back finally comes out into the open. Inside, he finds the boss's secretary. He threatens her and orders her to tie the boss to a chair. Once the man is restrained, the hitman coldly demands answers about the two assassins. Terrified, the boss insists he had nothing to do with the attack personally. He swears he's telling the truth and explains that the client who paid for the contract became furious after the mission failed. According to him, the client probably sent his own people after the hitman. Those same people attacked his girlfriend because they couldn't find him at home. The boss admits the hitman was always supposed to be the real target. After explaining everything, the boss angrily asks why the hitman even came back there in the first place. He tells him to disappear, change identities again, and stay hidden long enough for the client to stop hunting him down. But the hitman completely ignores the warning. By now, revenge matters more to him than survival itself. He grabs a nearby nail gun and fires it into the laptop as a warning shot. The look in his eyes makes it painfully clear that he's dead serious. Even then, the boss still doesn't fully understand the danger he's in. Acting careless, he tells the hitman to leave and says he already shared everything he knows. That response pushes the hitman over the edge. He attacks him instantly, and within moments, it's over. The boss never gets another chance to speak. The room falls silent almost as quickly as the violence started. Frustrated and cornered, the hitman realizes he may have to kill the secretary too, because she's now a witness. But she immediately understands what he's thinking and quickly offers him a deal. She tells him she already knows he probably won't spare her life, but she still has valuable information about the two assassins. In exchange, she asks for one thing: make her death look accidental so her family can collect a life insurance money. She says at least her children should have something after she's gone. And for the first time, the hitman actually stops and listens. The hitman agrees to her deal. He cuts her loose and lets her live for the moment. After that, he covers the boss's body, stuffs it inside a trash container, and carefully cleans the entire office before leaving with the secretary. During the drive, she keeps begging for life over and over again. Fear follows her every second because she knows how this probably ends. She promises to do anything he wants if he lets her go, but the hitman barely reacts to anything she says. When he starts opening the garage, she suddenly tries screaming for help, but nobody is around to hear her. He calmly opens the garage and drives the vehicle inside. Once they're inside, she finally gives him full details about the two assassins. She even shows him a postcard revealing who hired them in the first place. After getting everything he needs, the hitman stages the scene carefully so her death looks like an accident and the insurance payout can still reach her children. Even while covering his tracks, he still honors the agreement he made. Afterward, he heads back to the storage unit and destroys every remaining piece of evidence connected to his handler. Later, he stops on a bridge and scatters the last ashes into the wind. Nobody around him suspects a thing. That night, he thoroughly cleans the van, removes the fake license plate, and throws it away before disappearing again. The next day, he returns the van to the rental company and immediately heads to Florida. His mission now is finding the two people responsible for hurting his girlfriend. After arriving there, he decides he'll hunt down the man first. The woman can wait, but the injured man comes first. He quietly watches the man's house from a distance. Several people are outside spending time with a dog, and among them, he finally recognizes the man he's been searching for. The guy still walks with a noticeable limp from his earlier injury. The hitman spends the entire day outside the property, waiting patiently for the right moment to move. By evening, he notices the group heading toward a casino, so he silently follows them from a distance. Later that night, he returns to the house alone. Right around midnight, revenge finally begins to unfold. A little after 12 a.m., the injured man comes home by himself. The second he walks inside, the hitman makes his move. Suddenly, the dog starts barking loudly, but the hitman tosses it some food and quickly calms it down. Then he slips into the house, but the other man already senses something is wrong and realizes someone is inside. A brutal fight immediately breaks out between them. Both men attack non-stop, trading heavy blows across the house. After a while, the hitman starts gaining the upper hand, and that's exactly when the other man reaches for a weapon. The hitman instantly ducks into another room for cover. From inside, he calls out and says he knows the man's real name. Hearing that, the injured assassin slowly starts moving toward the room, but the hitman is already waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The hitman suddenly fires straight through the door. After that, everything goes completely quiet. Hearing the gunshots, the dog wakes up and runs toward its owner, but by then the hitman is already gone. He locks the dog inside the garage before leaving. Within seconds, the entire house starts turning into a crime scene. Right after that, he throws a burning explosive toward the house. Flames spread through the building almost instantly, followed by a massive explosion that tears through the property. With the first assassin finally gone, he shifts his attention to Teresa, the woman who helped attack his girlfriend. Soon afterward, he boards another flight under a new identity and heads to New York. The second he lands, he rents a car and drives directly to Teresa's house. He spends the entire day outside watching and waiting patiently for the perfect opportunity. Every move he makes now feels colder and more personal than before. Later that night, Teresa finally leaves the house and heads toward an expensive restaurant with another man beside her. After some time, the man leaves the restaurant alone. The moment the opening appears, the hitman walks inside. Teresa recognizes him immediately and instantly understands why he came. She calmly orders an expensive drink before asking him one question. "Did you finish off your handler?" The hitman silently nods without saying a word. That single gesture tells her everything she needs to know. While sipping her drink, Teresa explains that she only followed the client's orders. She says she never had any personal issue with him or his girlfriend and claims she was against unnecessary violence from the start. According to her, the original mission was only supposed to eliminate him, but once he disappeared, her partner completely lost control. Even after hearing the explanation, the hitman makes it clear that he still has no intention of letting her walk away alive. After leaving the restaurant, Teresa quietly walks with him toward an isolated park where everything is finally going to end. As they descend a staircase, Teresa suddenly slips and falls. Lying there, she reaches her hand out for help, but the hitman never grabs it. A few moments later, it's over. He knows she could still turn on him at any second. Hidden in her hand is a concealed weapon she was ready to use if she got the chance. Without wasting another second, the hitman leaves the park and catches a flight to Chicago. Now only one target remains, the client who ordered everything in the first place. After digging into his background, the hitman realizes the man is extremely wealthy, which means getting close to him won't be easy. He starts monitoring the house carefully and watching every movement around the property. One day, he sees the client leaving the garage in his car. The second the garage opens, the hitman quietly moves into position. Pretending to be an ordinary pedestrian, he approaches the house carefully. But when he reaches the entrance, he notices the main door is locked tight. The hitman takes a picture of the lock and starts researching how to bypass it. Eventually, he orders a specialized cloning device designed to copy access credentials. After that, he heads to the bank. Before making his next move, he prepares for the possibility of disappearing forever. He transfers all of his money into an overseas account under the name Jefferson. Once that's done, he visits a local supplier and picks up the equipment he needs. When the cloning device finally arrives, he books a gym session inside the same building where the client lives. While inside, he steals a worker's access pass from a janitor and creates a duplicate copy of it. Later that day, he uses the fake pass to enter the building successfully. Step by step, every security layer around the client starts collapsing. Before long, he reaches the client's apartment. The client stares at him in confusion and asks who he is and how he got inside. The hitman immediately realizes the man is pretending not to recognize him. That's when he pulls out the postcard he got from the secretary. The client's name is written directly on it. The second the client sees the card, everything comes rushing back. He instantly realizes this is the assassin who failed the original mission. Fear immediately spreads across his face as he starts insisting that he had nothing to do with sending those two killers after him. Now the man who once gave orders is suddenly terrified for his own life. The client explains that when the original mission failed, he believed mistakes simply happen sometimes. But according to him, the handler saw it differently. The handler called it incompetence instead of an accident. And in his eyes, failure was something that deserved punishment. The client reveals that the handler demanded another $500,000 to eliminate the hitman and erase every remaining trace connected to the operation. In reality, the entire setup was orchestrated by the handler himself. He was furious that his assassin had failed and terrified that if the hitman stayed alive, law enforcement might eventually trace everything back to him. That fear is what pushed him to organize the attack. The client repeats several times that he personally had nothing to do with sending those two assassins after him. For the first time in a long while, the hitman actually believes what he's hearing. After listening carefully, the hitman finally accepts that the client is telling the truth. But before leaving, he gives him one final warning. Nobody can ever learn his identity. Terrified, the client quickly nods in agreement. After that, the hitman returns to the Dominican Republic and focuses entirely on taking care of his girlfriend. Slowly, her condition starts improving more and more. In the end, he walks away from his old life forever. The violence finally ends as he chooses to live like an ordinary man again. He survived, but survival already took everything from him. Some scars don't bleed, they just stay alive inside a person forever. And maybe that's why this story feels so heavy. If dark stories like this stay in your head even after the screen goes silent, Subscribe to KTS Mosan because some endings don't end at all.